I'm Katsuki.
Hi, I'm Anya, and this is
What's Your Takeaway?
What's Your Takeaway is an exploration of ideas, insights, and inspiration. It is your food for thought.
And here we peel the onion and unravel the beauty and importance of introspection.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! This is episode 4. I'm very excited.
Me too.
Hi, gang.
Hello. Welcome back, everyone. Today we have a very, very special guest. I would always say that I feel like she is a kindred spirit, and I'm also a huge fan. Let's welcome Mia Go, a visual artist, textile artist, and also a very beautiful mother to two beautiful girls.
Yes.
Welcome, Mia.
Hi, Anya.
Wait, do we say Mia or Gel? Gel, man? Or Mia?
Whatever makes you feel
I know her as Gel.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
me
knows
too.
me. So
Angel.
you can call me Gel or Mia. It doesn't matter. I have a really long name.
All right. Let's get started.
Yes.
So thank you again for agreeing to be here. Is there anything else you want to add from our introduction? Who is Mia? Go.
Okay, I'm a mother to two children, Amelia and Ada. I'm an artist. Honestly, I don't really know what kind of artist I am. I just say artist because I feel like there's a lot of layers and nuances into the things that I make.
Right.
So that, and I'm into a lot of things basically. So number one, that's art, parenting, what else? Permaculture.
Yeah.
And living a slow life, and things that surround that topic. So there's that.
I think that's also why I'm very drawn to you, because you're pursuing all these curiosities in a way that's very honest, very authentic. And yes, I'm a huge fan of you exploring a wide array of medium and not limiting yourself to a certain practice, right? I mean, it's celebrating your creativity in different forms of self-expression. Because we are in What's Your Takeaway, usually we ask our guest just to kind of understand what the origin story of your practice of introspection is from since you're a child.
Right.
So how is that for you? Because I know you're a very introspective person. So what's the origin story of that from since you were a child?
Honestly, I don't know, but I feel it.
Right.
Like there are just some things that you can't really make sense of, but there's just that inner knowing that you know things, or you feel it, like it's like this, it's like that. Ever since I was a child, I was always curious about many things. I have a lot of questions. I don't say it out loud. Everything's just in my head, and I guess that's just something that I do a lot on a day-to-day basis. Like I like reflecting a lot about, like why are we here on Earth,
Right.
or like
all the philosophical
questions like that. It just like pops in my head so randomly, and I don't even know why. Like I don't know why I'm asking those questions. It's just it comes so innately lang yun to me. And then it's something na nadahanan ako as I grew older, and I guess it got strengthened lang yun when I already became a mother. Because then I had a responsibility, and I was becoming an example to this next generation of human beings. So
Right.
in a way, I was very mindful of, how I live my life, how I was being an example to these children. And with that, my thoughts just kind of like unfolded even more.
Right.
So, and then also, wait, I have a train of thought, but I kind of forgot what it was.
That's okay. I was gonna. It will come back to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But because I feel like when you became a mom, it was very pivotal in a lot of ways. It changed you in a lot of ways. As you said, you're a more conscious being now. But you also said that even as a child, it wasn't cerebral. Like you had an inner knowing. You feel it. That's why it came naturally to you. How is it different? Like, how was your practice of reflection then, before you were a mom, and then now? Like, how did it change? Like, did it change in terms of like the tools you use, or much regular? Your practice of reflection is more regular. What's your process of like self inquiry then, and how it is now that you're a mom? How does it differentiate?
I think before I became a mom, it's my thoughts. I usually just shrug them off. I felt like I had thoughts that people didn't really want to hear or not ready to talk about. And I didn't really also know like who I can talk these things about. So maybe like before becoming a mom, it was always just in passing. Like all of my introspections, just in passing. Like, it's just something I thought of and then like I forget it. I would not make a big deal out of it. But when I became a mom, somehow there was this transformation in me that felt like all these thoughts are coming to me because it matters.
Right.
Like it matters to me. So I should investigate more.
Right.
Like I
Yeah.
should like, like dive deep into why these thoughts are coming into my head and ask all these questions. And so yeah, like I think now it's more of an embodiment. Like I'm
I
trying
agree.
to
Yeah, I think it is an embodiment.
yeah, I'm trying to embody all these introspections and embrace it and yeah.
You were
like
saying something about transformation. Are you aware about the extent of your transformation? Because I met you from before you were a mom, and like the transformation there is really like huge and palpable. So are you like conscious about the whole thing?
No, I wasn't. I think I wasn't really aware of it, but I guess because like when I became a mom, there were a lot of things happening that was kind of leaning into the negative side, like like being depressed and things like that. So I couldn't really think clearly about the transformation side of it. Like I didn't understand why these things were happening to me or why I was feeling how I was feeling back then. All I knew was that like presently I have to survive this. I have to become a better mother for my child and
Right.
all these things. And I guess when I came out of that like cycle of sadness or like the adjustment period of becoming a mom, when I came out of that, it was I think clarity came much more. Wait, clarity claim much more clear? No, it doesn't make sense. Wait, no, but there was some sort of clarity lang na that entered my mind, and that this is what I want to do. And in a way, I think it was very obvious in the way I was sharing in my Instagram about all these things, because before I had these thoughts, but I wouldn't share it. I
Right.
was always so scared of being judged by other people. But then, like when I became a mom, and there was that responsibility of raising a human being, suddenly there's that sudden urge of like, oh, I should share this. What
Right.
if like other people can or would resonate with
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
And what if
yeah.
other people are just as lost as me and we're looking for some sort of community who thinks about these things as well? So yeah, and surprisingly, community came. I mean,
Right.
it just like people started messaging me, and to my surprise, even like people who weren't mothers approached me and asked like, you know what, like the things that you're sharing made me think about my own childhood.
Yeah.
Like how they were raised as well. So yeah, I think there's parang there's a lot of stories around our childhoods that
Yep.
matters.
Yes.
So much more than we are aware of.
Speaking of childhood, and I hope I mean, this is a safe space, and I hope you feel it's a safe space. So how was that like for you? Because it seems as though your motivation to become a better parent to your children stems from your own childhood. And one thing that I really admire about you also is the courage to put yourself out there. As you said, in the past, before you became a mom, you would have these thoughts, or you would have these questions in your mind, but you would shrug them off, or it's not something that you dwell on. It's not something that you were confident enough to put out there to share, or you didn't feel like you had community to kind of bounce off these thoughts with. But now, just because you're honoring your truth and where you're coming from and the need to kind of express yourself, you put it out there and community came. So I guess my question is, coming from your own personal childhood, what has been the driving force that gave you courage to be that kind of mother?
How not to be a parent. I mean, like, I have to be honest. I mean, that's just it. Like, and I guess it's not just me. It's a common cultural thing. Like, there are a lot of parenting methods in the past that are very harmful, and we don't even know it. We just think that, oh, you're just a child. You just forget it as you grow older, but you don't really know the impact of that to that certain child, and it's something that child will carry as they become an adult. I remember this quote. It's from Maria Montessori. I really love it. It's something about what did she? Everything the child sees or hear are not just remembered, but it forms a part of his soul.
Beautiful. It's so true though.
Yeah, it's very
100%,
true.
yeah.
So right now, as I started my healing journey, trying to get to know myself better, I really do think a lot about my own childhood and how it connects to where I am now currently in my life. And in a lot of ways, there are so many realizations that, like, maybe that's why I'm like this, because, it's something I experienced back then. Or
Yeah.
it's the kind of example that I've seen the adults in our home do.
Right.
Yeah.
And many things like that. So I guess when I was pregnant with Amelia, I was, because Kaloy and I would talk about it a lot, like how, okay, how do we approach parenting? And I'm like, just all I'm sure of is I don't want to parent like how I was parented.
Right.
Like, I want that to be different for my own child. And it's so easy to say. Like, I'm so, like, dedicated to not parent like how I was parented. But when you're in the actual situation, like, oh my God, like, I cannot believe, like, sometimes I see my own parents in me.
Right.
Like, with the
Yeah.
way that I react, the way I respond to a
your
situation, it
conditioning,
just
yeah.
it just happens so fast that you're not even aware what you're doing to your child or the things that you're saying to your child. And it's very difficult.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of practice. So that's one thing that I'm really trying to remind myself of these days, that everything is practice.
Yes,
true.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Katsuki and I will not become parents, but we wanted to invite you into this space because I feel like it's a very important and relevant conversation, because there's different versions of us being mothers to different things, right? And you talked about how you are very determined to parent your child in the manner that you were not parented. But there are instances where it just kind of appears out of nowhere, and sometimes it's hard to kind of catch yourself because it's just there. It's your conditioning. I think for me, like, as someone who's also worked a lot on healing my relationship with my mom, what are the, I guess, what are the questions you ask yourself, or what's like the process of self inquiry that you have to make yourself more aware that you're not going to become the parent that you like? How do you keep yourself in check? Like, how do you practice that self awareness?
Currently or before I became a mom?
I guess both. Yeah.
I'm not so sure before I became a mom because there was nothing to practice on. But right now, it happens every day. Like something, like let's say my daughter says or does something and it triggers something in me and I don't understand why. And I can't, like, for example, she accidentally drops the mug on the floor and it breaks. And I feel this sort of anger like brewing in me, and if I'm not aware enough I would get angry, shout, whatever. But sometimes I catch myself like in the middle of like that emotion is not wala pa na manifest ba. So I ask myself like, okay, why is this making me angry? Like she did not even mean to drop it on the floor.
Yeah.
Why is this so important that I feel like anger, and it's not even just like mild anger, like really angry. And I kind of like reflect back on my own childhood. Na I was treated the same way, that I was made to the methods back then, kneel on salt and do things like that. And so right now, whenever I feel triggered, I ask myself like, why is this triggering me?
Right.
And it usually has something to do with my own upbringing. All the time it has something to do with my experiences back then, and all these experiences are stories I tell myself now. That that she dropped something on the floor. Maybe it's the inner child in me that's being triggered.
Scolded.
Scolded.
Yeah.
Like I am brought back to that experience once again, and it's making me angry. So it's not really my child dropping the mug on the floor that's making me
That's true.
angry.
Yeah. It was just a trigger.
The experience that
Yeah.
I've had in the past that's making me angry, helpless, and all these
That's so true.
feelings.
Yeah, I think I can relate. I can relate to the whole inner child conversation. And I think you posted something like a material, and like, oh yeah, your inner child. So like somehow I know about my inner child right now, that we're trying to be aware of it. And then sometimes, do you feel? My question is, because I feel guilty because I think my parents just didn't know better. And I feel like my guilt is like, I shouldn't be angry at them. They didn't know any better too. But then you're angry too because why did they treat you that way? Do you feel that guilt at all?
Yeah, I feel guilty sometimes, but then there's this word that's in my head a lot these days as well. It's ambivalence. Like two things can be true at
That's
the same
true, yeah.
time. I can feel angry at them for not probably doing better or not knowing all these things, or trying to be not being a better example for me, that now as an adult I am struggling. But at the same time I feel empathy for them because they too didn't have the right examples when they were children, and we just go into this generational cycle of so eventually someone has to really like end it, or
Right.
someone has to ask all these questions and not not pass it on
Yeah.
to the
So she stops the cycle.
I
She's
actually
stopping the cycle.
I'm really trying so much. But
Yeah.
I actually talk to my mom about these things. I
That's
talk
good.
That's
so
good.
openly to her about these things. And yeah, sometimes she also feels sad. Like she feels the guilt. Like she tells me that like how she wishes that she'd
Knew
known
better,
better,
yeah.
and that she would have treated me better, raised me better, with all these things that I'm sharing to her now, like how it affects as you grow older. But then she that's just a fact that she also didn't have the tools on how to do these things. And plus there's also that societal pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are telling you like, oh, this is how you raise your child.
Oh, yeah.
You should like spank. You should.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different reality and context in their generation
Yeah, it
as
is.
it is now. So, can you actually say that you've already kind of forgiven or radically accepted the fact that you're not able to go back to the child in you and be parented the way you want to be parented, and that somehow, you're just gonna, this is your opportunity now to make things right, and you're gonna break that pattern and do better.
Yeah.
You're in that. You're in that space.
I'm in
already.
that space right now. Before, I used to be just so angry. Like, it would be so evident every time I talk about my parents, like how angry I am
Yeah.
at them. But then, like, as I started my healing journey and I understood better, like the psychology of things
Right.
and all these experiences, and how, in a way, we're all just victims of circumstance.
Right.
Yes.
Really. So now I've gained more clarity in terms of that, and I've forgiven them. Like, like, too bad I wasn't parented probably in the way I would have wanted. But then now that I am a parent myself, I actually have the chance to change that for
Yeah,
my children.
That's beautiful.
I always tell my mom, I mean, it was so bad the way I was raised, but I didn't turn out so bad. So in the end, there was probably some good in that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we turned out to be reflective, introspective, and conscious people, and we try to become better versions of our parents.
Right.
And I think that's also their redemption.
Yeah.
I want to transition slowly to your art and self-expression, because I see that that's also somehow part of your parenting. I see that manifest in the way you give your children a safe space to also play and express themselves. And is that something that was a gift that you've discovered from since you were a child, or is that something that you discovered later on, and how did that support you growing up?
Art.
Yes.
I really thought that I couldn't do art. Growing up, I was told again and again that I don't know how to make art. That that's not how you're supposed to do it. That this is how you're supposed to do it. And then I kind of just gave up and not tried anything growing up. Actually, I think it's safe to say growing up, I was very insecure. I wouldn't try anything because, like, what's the point? I mean, I'm just going to be told again and again that I don't have a future, or
Right.
things like that.
That's the belief
Yeah,
system that
yeah.
was kind of planted in us. You're gonna be a third world starving artist. You're not gonna have a future
Yeah.
creating
Yeah,
stuff.
true.
and that I should pursue this instead because that's where the money is,
Yeah.
and things like
Oh,
that.
God.
And
Okay.
that never really sat well with me. Like, I'm always like, but I don't really want where the money is. I mean, like, there's just that obsessive thing going on about earning money.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what about the other things? And I think that's why I'm always asking about the other things, because it never gets talked about.
You're right.
And then when, as usual, like, all these things that's happening to me now happened when I became a mother. Like, there was just that transformation. So when Amelia was less than 1 year old, and then the pandemic happened, So we were all just at home, and I was thinking and I was researching about all these parenting things, all the spiritual and psychological aspects of it, child development and culture, and all these things. I came across this term, objects of culture at home. And then I don't know, for some reason, one thing that just popped into my head is weaving. And I remember like some years ago, I saw this thing about modern weaving, like a class or something. And I remember feeling like I was interested with it, but never really pursued it, because then again, like, what's the point?
Right.
So now that I'm a mother, and a lot of mindsets have changed in me, there was that shift. I was like, oh, that's like kind of just connected in my head. Now, what if I would do weaving? My child would probably see me do these things, and as she grows older, she'd probably have, or it would probably spark a curiosity in her to kind of like learn, our Filipino heritage and artistry and all these things. Because I myself, I'm very curious with those things, and it's not really just for my child; it's also for my inner child.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful journey.
Yeah.
so I started learning how to weave. I'm self-taught. Really just a lot of research and trial and error, and experiment. I love experimenting. So I started weaving, and then I guess like soon enough it kind of like became a path to self-discovery. Like I was discovering so many things that's interconnecting, and how my parenting and my artistic practice are interconnected at its core. So yeah, and now like it's just continuing that path. Like I'm not really doing so much weaving right now, because my head is focused on other things. I'm trying soft pastels. I'm trying all these natural pigments and stuff, gardening, and it's all interconnected. I have this, one of my like dream projects is I want to grow a plant or something from seed. Really just wait until it's like grown, process the flowers or the leaves or whatever the plant is, because it depends if it's like for natural dyeing or if it's for fiber. And I want to process it myself.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'd create like a weaving of some sort. But like I'm interested with the whole long process of starting from a single
The
seed.
fiber and the seed. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Remind me, I'm gonna send you resources, because there are a couple of artists that are doing that, but no one in the Philippines. So that would be pioneering.
Yeah.
It seems like motherhood has really been very instrumental in your,
It is.
not
Yeah.
just in your self-discovery, but also in your inner child healing.
Yeah.
And
It's really admirable.
I did not know that Amelia and was also a like a huge influence as to why you started weaving. Yeah. In your practice of weaving, how does it support your reflection? Like when you're not just weaving, but when you're creating art, how does that? What where are you at? Like, what's the space that you're at when you're creating art? Like, how does it feel like, or how,
It
what
feels like
goes in there? Like, what's the process before like you come up with this color combination?
it feels like a meditation. First and foremost, and then the rest, I really can't explain it. Like again, it feels like inner knowing. Like I start something and it just flows.
Nice.
I don't even plan really, like the pattern. I don't plan so much at all. I just think about what I want. Like for example, I want it to represent something in the emotions of like pain. For example, like I had this idea about when I was laboring with Ada, and that because with Amelia I had an epidural, so I didn't really feel much. With Ada, it was different. I really felt it all.
Oh.
And then
Very brave.
Yeah.
yeah, so I had a lot of there was a lot of, it was so weird because I was in labor, but then like all these ideas were coming into my head. It was like, okay, not now. But then like I was like, okay, after na, like well, when I go home. And then anyway, so a few months after, I kind of revisited that I wanted to create something that kind of like represents my experience of labor.
Labor.
And I was kind of like asking myself emotions, like how did I feel? And from that, I just tried to create something that would represent that for me. So I guess my process mostly is more on emotions.
Yeah.
Like I always ask, like, how does this make me feel? Actually, with my clients, like when people commission me to do something, I ask that. Okay, where do you want to put it? Because I have to know like the size,
layout.
and the layout. And then I ask them like, how do you want this to make you feel, or what do you want this to represent? And then it's beautiful because then they would share like a part of their lives in a way, like like I had this client who wanted me to create something that reminds her of her wedding day. And she would share to me like where they did it, what was the whole event about, the theme and things like that. And in a way, I kind of there's that connection with my client, and so I get a feel of what they're trying to, or what's the essence of this piece that they want me to create. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it shows in your work. It's very intuitive
And
you know.
intentional.
Yes, like it really comes from your core, and
Yeah.
that's why it flows.
Yeah.
You know, I think we all share our love for Uncle Rick Rubin.
Yes.
Uncle Rick. And I think I remember in his book he talked about how when you're allowing yourself to just create, that's when it's most authentic, and
Yeah.
that's when it flows. It's not cerebral. It's again very intuitive. But it takes a lot of courage to kind of do that. Yeah. In your I guess exploration of your creativity and self-expression, you've transitioned from weave to soft pastels, as you mentioned, and then now you're very conscious about the way you live. Can you expound more on like what this slow living means
Yeah.
to you?
I was curious to like, what is slow living? What is that?
That's funny because I recently learned in my human design that I'm actually very fast paced. Like
Okay.
that's just that's just innate in me to be fast paced in the things that I want to do, in the things that I want to learn, and I learn it fast. And
You are a
Yeah,
fast
actually, I was gonna say that.
and then I realized, like I really do things. I really learn things fast. Like it just, when I'm decided that I want to do it, like things just starts unfolding really, really, really fast. And I even get frustrated sometimes because like with Kaloy and in the systems that we have at home, like I would complain to him like, why is this taking you why is it taking you so long? And then I just realized because learning my human design and his human design is very different, and I just have to honor his as well, like where he's at and how he functions as a person. So anyways, I've learned that I'm fast paced, and then it kind of just popped into my head like, okay, but I want to live slowly. So I was asking my questions like, okay, what does slow living mean for me? And I think, how do I say this? I just want to unsubscribe to the capitalist systems.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to wake up in the morning. I have to rush to work and go through all this traffic and all these things. Maybe like my dream life would be waking up in the morning and I have the freedom to just watch the sunrise and drink my coffee and not be worried about where I should be going next or all these people that I have to be meeting. And then my entire day would just flow from that. I guess that to me that is what slow living means to me. Not like I wouldn't really succumb to the expectations of work and like climbing up a ladder and all these things.
Well, in that case, we are doing the slow living.
We're living slow.
Yes, in that
Yes.
case, if
That's
that's
why
the
we're all
case then.
here.
Yeah. Well, then, okay, here we are.
Check.
Yes.
And where are you at now, Mia? Gel.
Yeah, it's okay.
Are you fully living or embodying the slowness?
It's a work in progress. There's a lot of conditioning that I have yet to unlearn. But I guess, there's progress in that. I wake up and just try to be present with my children, not think about all my to-do lists for the day. Like I really... And also, by the way, one practice that I do is to leave my phone like far, far away because honestly, I'm just so addicted to
Scrolling.
scrolling.
We're all
Like
guilty of that.
once you start, you just can't stop.
Yeah.
And so I'm rethinking my relationship with social media, and so I have to change that. I'm trying not to open my phone first thing in the morning. I'm more present. Like I'm really present when I'm not looking at my phone, and I'm trying to be more present with my children, and I get to drink my coffee, and work stuff just flows as well. Like when I feel like doing it, then I'll do it at that certain moment. But if I can't also, then I'll also honor that because I have to embody where I am now currently in my motherhood as well.
Yeah.
That there are a lot of things that I really
Can't
just
control.
can't control and can't do. Like I just can't physically do because I have to take care of my children as well.
Apart from the challenge of technology and the temptations of technology and social media, what else do you feel are barriers, or what are the challenges in terms of that like unlearning things that kind of deter you from living slow? Because I personally also have been very conscious in the way I lead my life now. But maybe the biggest belief system that I have a hard time unlearning is that sense of doing versus being, like associating our worth to productivity and associating our worth to achieving things.
Yeah.
Like, I admire your courage to kind of put yourself out there and just, create because you want to.
Right.
But I guess, for others, and I mean, personally, for me, that's a struggle. Like, there are certain things associated to creating, or to putting something out there, like, because that's how we were conditioned.
Yeah.
We're conditioned. I am personally conditioned to achieve. Like,
Yeah.
I've always been an overachiever. So,
Taurus.
Taurus. So, like, there's always that fear, I guess, of associating something you do to not being successful or to failing. To me, that's my barrier, aside from technology also.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, I think that's everyone's challenge. How about you, gang? Is there what's a barrier to slow living for you aside from technology?
I'm still there in the idea of like my self-worth being attached to productivity. So I still stress myself out like, oh my god, my to-do list, I'm just halfway, I'm still there.
Yeah.
Like my my grinding.
Yeah.
So I'm also a work in progress in that area, like the grinding, because I feel like I'm still in survival mode all the time, but I'm slowly veering away from that.
I don't know if it's the same for you, Jal. Like, I'm very good at not doing anything or doing nothing. I'm very good at rest. But I always feel, and Katsuki's like, not me, not me. But and I love my solitude and my alone time. But I always, and it's now that I'm consciously changing the way I perceive it, because in the past I do that, but my perception towards it is reward. Like, I'm very good at resting, and I'm very good at taking breaks, but it's always because I deserve it. So now, in the past year, it's more of like, I want rest. I need rest because it's part of me. Because I'm a human being that needs to rest. You know, it's not so I don't feel guilty. It's not because I have a reward. It's because I'm honoring my body, and you know, I'm having an intimate relationship with myself. Yeah, like, is there anything else? Are there any other barriers aside from technology?
Actually, same with you, but that's before I became a mother. And again, I think when I became a mother, there was just that shift of kanang being responsible for all the examples, or being an example to my children. And I don't know where, or I don't know when I kind of like detached from that mindset. It just happened. Like, I remember just waking up one day and I just don't care anymore. Like, okay, judge me all you want. I'm not gonna do anything today. So I don't feel like it. I feel like I'm about to have that time of the month, and I really just don't have the energy to be doing anything at all. And it has been a practice. The more you practice it, the more it becomes natural. And I've been practicing it since Amelia was born, so about 4 years now. And even then, sometimes it comes back. Like, I don't have any worth because I don't have a job, or like that conventional ways of working, and things like
I get that all the time.
Yeah. So, but then, like, I catch myself in the thought and say, and I just try to tell or to reassure myself that this is not why we're living in this earth.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
these concepts are all man-made.
That's true.
Like, whoever
Yeah.
started
Whoever.
these concepts.
Yes.
I mean, who keeps a scorecard of like what you earn and what you do and like how you spend your day?
Right.
Nobody
Yeah.
except you.
So
Yeah.
like, that's so admirable. We should come on.
Yeah.
That's
But
so-
I think the key word there, the operative word there is practice. That's also kind
and
of what
it
I
doesn't have to be
learned.
perfect though.
Yes,
Because it is a
yes.
practice.
It is
And
a
then that Rick Rubin book, what is it?
Uncle
The
Rick.
creative,
Creative
yeah,
Act.
Yeah, the
creative
Creative
act.
Act.
I really love it when he said, the work of the artist is not about the output that they
I
make.
agree. Yeah.
Instead, it's the way of being.
Yeah.
And that really stuck with me, the way of being. I really love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's like to me, I associate that a lot with, and you did say yourself like your art is also like, I meditate, but I'm also not an advocate of like, you have to meditate at 7 a.m. every day for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
because it's not for everyone.
It's
and
not.
and meditation is also a way of being. Like, in every aspect of your life, you can be mindful about
Yeah.
how you do things.
And she also said that weaving or doing art is meditation. I agree. Like, when I'm working, like,
Yeah,
it is
it's-
kind of a meditation because
Yes.
you are in that mode.
like,
Yeah.
my friend, for her, working out is meditation.
Yeah.
Swimming is meditation.
Yes.
Walking is meditation. There are so many forms
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
meditation. You don't stick to
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
certain
it's
practice.
funny because I always, like growing up, you see these movies about people meditating, and you always thought that it's about like sitting up.
Upright.
It's just funny to me because I really tried to do it that way, and it's not working. It's
Right.
really not working. No matter how hard I try,
Yeah.
this is not how this is. But now I know that this is probably just not how I meditate
Yeah.
personally. Like there are 1,000 ways of doing it, and I just do it another way.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And don't be apologetic about it. Like,
Yeah.
this is the way I meditate.
I wonder, like, because there's a huge shift in the way you're living your life now, and you said to yourself you're being so conscious about parenting. The not pressure, but the desire is to be a good example to your children. When you catch yourself not living the kind of life that you want to live, how do you handle that? Like, I guess my question is, like, how do you practice self-compassion? Because it's different when we're aware in our head, right? Like, we know, you're not supposed to be hard on yourself. You know you're not supposed to beat yourself up. You know you're not supposed to associate your self-worth to this and that. You know better, But there are a lot of instances where the best of us still is hard on us.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of instances where it's still very difficult to be kind to ourselves. And so when you're not adhering to, maybe adhere is a wrong word, when you're not living the life you want, or when you're not living up to the values you aspire to have, or the person you aspire to be, how do you practice kindness?
Grace.
Grace.
Wow. Yeah.
I talk a lot about this topic also in my like writing, because I do long form writing in Substack.
Yes, everyone, please subscribe to Gel's Substack.
Grace in mothering, most especially for me personally, there will be days that I will just not have it. Like everything's just not working how I want it to work, and everything's just negative, or like just things that I don't want to happen in my life. But then it's nature. It's all a cycle, and there will be times that things that I don't want to happen will happen, and so I give myself grace. And by doing that, by really trying to embody that, I guess in a way that also sets an example for my child to how she will treat herself when things don't go her way, to give herself grace, that things will not always be according to how we plan it to be.
That's such a difficult thing to kind of give and receive.
Yeah.
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 It is. And also that's why I think I mentioned earlier about ambivalence, because I can feel really upset about something, but at the same time feel empathy that you understand why it's happening, and
Yeah.
you understand the nuances in it. And I guess in parenting in general, there's a lot of nuances.
Right.
Really, there's
Yeah.
no amount of do this and do that
Yeah.
that will make the experience less challenging. And that's why I always remind every time someone comes up to me and asks, like, how do you do this, like how do you deal with your child like that. And first of all, give yourself some grace. We don't every child is different, but also every parent is different, because
Right.
then again, we all have different experiences, different conditionings, different human design, and we function differently as people. And so I can't really tell you what you should be doing, but all I can tell you is ask yourself, like, what is your intuition telling you?
Yeah.
But again, I guess it all boils down to like practice.
Yeah.
Practice.
How you're able to practice that
Yes.
in your life.
Yeah, because
That's our takeaway.
because
Practice.
even in intuition, that's very hard to do. Like, okay, how do I know that this is my intuition?
How do you
Actually,
connect
yeah.
to that?
how do you
exactly,
know?
yeah.
But then practice.
Practice.
Just maybe just to wrap things up, I wanted to touch on permaculture, but
Yeah.
for another episode. I know for a fact that a lot of the things that you do is very much grounded to the things that you love. So your children, your form of self-expression, your connection to the earth. I mean, your desire and your dream to be able to, create art from seed to fiber to dyes. Is you honoring your. I guess with all these transformation and all the brave things you've done the past year, leaving, parenting, exploring new of medium, writing, and sharing your putting yourself out there. What's been your biggest takeaway?
Something to think about.
Because we're in.
What's your takeaway?
Okay, wait. Let me think for a moment.
Yeah, sure. While you think about that, do you have any takeaway today?
Slow living. That's my takeaway. Like, I can't grasp the concept for now because I've always been kind of grinding and
A
grinding.
hustler.
A hustler.
Hustle.
Yeah. Do something. Create something now. Or
I feel like Mia's definition is a good start and it's accessible,
Yeah.
just unsubscribing to the capitalist
Yeah.
way of living and how, like, what society expects of you.
Yeah.
It's not so much about being a rebel or
No, it's not.
it's not. It's just not kind of living according to societal standards, but living in your own terms.
Yeah, it's
living
also
in your own definition.
for me. It's also a form of trusting
Yeah,
because it's like when you're hustling, it's like you're not trusting.
that's true. And going back to like episode 3 of that mindset of abundance versus scarcity, right?
Yeah.
I think people who live slowly, they just allow things to unravel and flow, and whatever the day provides, you accept because that's when you're present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back to you. What's your
Back to
takeaway?
Has there any thought?
I think one thing that comes into mind is that nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
Nothing is. So even if you feel like what you're experiencing now is something that you'll experience forever, it won't be. It
Yeah.
won't be permanent. And I guess we're always growing, we're always expanding, evolving, both individually and as a collective.
Yeah.
True.
So yeah, nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
So just trust.
Trust.
Trust, yes. To me, I think my takeaway for today is how you're able to use transformational moments in your life, like how when you became a mother, how you use that as a point of reflection, and how you allowed that to kind of change you in a way where you become a better person. I think a lot of people come into these life-changing moments just going through the motions, like not very aware of the gift of these opportunities, and but you used it in a manner that made you.
Sorry, just something
Yeah,
just came in.
sure.
But while you were talking about these transformational experiences, I think a lot of people can't can't experience it in a way like that is probably because of capitalistic ways. Like how society expects of you that you give birth and like in a few weeks time you have to get back and make more money and things like that. And so I feel like it's just survival.
Yeah,
You're just trying to get, okay, let's get it over with. And you can't really like embody the moment that you're experiencing, because you're already thinking about all the ways that you should be or how are you gonna survive, how are you gonna let your child survive, and all those things. And I guess in a way it still comes back to all the capitalistic practices that has been conditioned to us deeply, and it's very hard to break.
Right.
It's that programming that intense programming, and how you it's really hard to kind of like,
but you go through these experiences, you can never go back. Like I forgot, I read something a few weeks ago about matrescence, like that that space in between not yet a mother, about to become a mother. Like there's that transformational period where apparently your brain becomes malleable again, and you can actually try to embody all the like concepts, all the things that you want changed in your life while you're pregnant. I didn't know that. And
more portal. It's like you're
exactly
carrying
like,
a portal within you
like,
prior to being pregnant.
It's like that. It's like, actually I think she said that it's like a portal, and the moment that you give birth, you really can't go back to who you once were. That's why I guess it's leaving a lot of mothers frustrated, because the narrative that is being sold to us is that you should go back to who you were before you became a mother.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, that's a perfect way to end this conversation. Let our portals be open. When we talk about motherhood, it's not just about having a human being. I'm a fur mom. You're a plant mom. And we are mothers to ourselves.
Yes, of course. That's
the most important one. Maybe just to wrap up, a final question. What is there to look forward to in 2024 from you?
Oh my gosh. There's a lot. Actually, I'm currently in this in-between space. Me and actually my entire family were in this in-between space as we're moving to the mountains. And
oh my God, what a dream.
Yeah, we're moving to the mountains, and we're kind of like, there's also that change in work and sources of income and stuff like that. There's a lot of things going on, and also we're getting married in 2024. So
but congratulations.
I guess there's a lot of things, but the biggest thing that we're actually doing right now is the transfer. It's it's not really that accessible physically, and it's not in the city. It's in the middle of nowhere. So there's
what a dream.
A lot of adjustments. But hopefully I can do that all. Permaculture,
and your dream of seed to fiber. And
that's amazing.
You are living your dream. What a beautiful journey. Thank you, Jel, for being here.
So much,
and sharing your
story. Learning so much.
Learning your transformational journey of motherhood.
Thank you. Thank
I
you
hope
for inviting me.
a lot of people take inspiration, and I'm sure a lot of people will take inspiration from everything you had to share.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That has been
What's Your Takeaway? See you next
soon, guys.
episode. Bye.
Bye.